Welcome to the Rich and Turbo Heavy Half Hour. Got a really cool episode that we're doing tonight with myself. My name is Rich. Find me on X at Fuzz Doom Rip, all the socials at rich.paiva, as a Doom Charts contributor and doing reviews for Musopedia of Metal. Turbo, how are you doing today?
Kind of looks like I'm crawling out of hell.
Yeah, you do. You look like you're a void, but it's even more of a void this time. So we're very excited to have Igor Sydorenko from Stone Jesus with us today. Thank you, Igor. I know we've had some technical difficulties, so appreciate your patience as we got going. How you doing today?
Yep, thanks. Doing great. Yeah.
Excellent. So you have a new record coming out on Season of Mist. I believe it comes out on September 19th. It's called Songs to Sun, and Turbo and I have spent a lot of time with the record. And Turbo, I don't want to put you on the spot, but what did you text to us today in our group about the record?
I have to relook. I don't know.
I told you I was putting you on the spot. My bad.
It's one of the strongest progressive rock albums for me. I don't listen to a lot of progressive rock bands that are straight up progressive, but for me, this is one of the strongest progressive rock band albums of the year.
Thanks a lot. Much appreciated. Thank you.
We love it, and we've been spending a lot of time with it. And Igor, we wanted to hear from you about the record. So we've seen the materials. We know that this is a trilogy, which is also very, very cool because we're going to get two more albums of this awesome material. But what can you tell us about Songs to Sun?
Well, it was born from the period when I was writing a lot and we weren't doing much as a band because I'm constantly writing, and it was, I think, around when pandemic started, and then the Russian invasion happened in Ukraine. And before that, we were working already on Fatherlight, which was eventually released in 2023, our previous album. Our first album was Season of Mist. And our last album with the previous lineup, because there was a lot of frustration and a lot of wrong vibes. That is directly connected to the fact that I was writing a lot, and a lot of that material wasn't really perceived the way I hoped it would be. So, when I got the chance to start with the new guys, and by new guys, I basically mean that Yuri, the drummer, the new drummer, is someone who I've known for 16 years. So they new guys on paper. Yeah, but anyway, with the new lineup, I looked. I took a good hard look at everything that I've written in the last 5 years, and I realized that there are 3 shelves on which you can put this material. There are more aggressive, direct, and heavy songs. There are songs that are more introverted, more experimental, darker songs, and quieter songs. And there are a lot of separate ideas that would work perfectly, though, as 2 really long epics, because I've always been a huge fan of progressive rock. And it's always been a dream of mine to create the album with just 2 songs, a lot of the classic records, I don't know, Thick as a Brick and stuff like that, where you just have 2 20-minute long songs. So basically, this is how the idea of a trilogy came to life. And I was already a bit disillusioned and sort of unmotivated with how it was going with the previous lineup. So when I brought the idea to the new guys, listen, I want to do 3 albums. I want to do 3 albums each year in a row. The first album going to be this heavy aggressive one. The next one will be more introverted and dark. And the third one going to be just 2 songs. I was ready that they will say, let's rethink that, or something like that. But fortunately, they were very excited about that, and they were very much on board, and they helped a lot during the process, because even though the songs were basically written and I had them either in demo form or already in my head, there is a huge input from the guys, especially on this album. Like when we start talking about the tracks, I guess, like I can tell you more. But let's just put it this way: that like these two guys and this lineup really recharged me and like put new life into Stone Jesus, and I'm very very excited to see whatever comes next.
I think you can hear it too. But I have to ask you, it's funny that you say this is the heavy one and the next one's going to be dark and introverted, because there's some dark and introverted stuff on this record too.
Oh yes.
Yeah. So I can the depths of dark and introversion, that's not even a word, but you know what I mean. It's there's definitely some heavy stuff, like on Low, you almost go into a black metal vibe for at one point.
Yeah.
Quicksand is probably one of the most deep and emotional songs that I've heard in like a really long time. So
Thanks.
it's going to be pretty amazing that part 2 of this is even darker and more introverted. But let's stick with this one for now. So I want to start with Quicksand because I think that's a song that Turbo and I both were very just taken by, and it's so deep, it's so emotional. Obviously, being from Ukraine, going through everything that you have been and are going through, and again, writing stuff during the pandemic, all the shit that's going on in your life. I assume that's part of it. But what can you tell us about that particular song? Because that one is just amazing.
Thanks a lot. And yeah, it's a huge risk artistically, and I mean, like in many other aspects for me to finally release this song. And by saying finally, I mean that it was written like 12 or 13 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't even have the courage in me to bring it to any other iteration of Stone Jesus because I thought this thing is like too personal, Like people don't need to hear that. This is borderline therapy. And even though like some emotions I cannot relate to anymore, I'm not that person anymore. Or like some emotions I actually put there on purpose, and there is a little bit of unreliable narrator happening, especially when like closer to the end of the song where it like firing all the cylinders, and yeah, without spoiling anything, it gets really intense. I would say that I think the connection that we have with Andrew and Yuri, the two quote unquote new guys in the band. This really inspired me to do that because, like, we all lost our fathers recently, and we all from Ukraine, and we all had to relocate from Ukraine, and there's a lot of feeling connected to that. And even during our first tour, we just like we're discussing the stuff that we all like listening to and the stuff that we like watching and relating in general to some, like the world of arts. And it was very liberating to be like, I don't know, singing along to some early hymn records and stuff like that. Like we even covered a hymn song on that like wave of mutual uh, aspiration and respect and everything. And like for the first time in years, I thought that like, okay, I'm really open to these guys, and if I can open to them, probably I can open to more people, and I can finally bring like my older songs, and maybe we can breathe new life into them. And yeah, speaking of the intensity and the like the the darker side, especially in this song, I would say that yeah, this song probably would have fit more on Songs to Moon than Songs to Sun. But at the same time, I felt that Songs to Sun needed some sort of a, like a gut punch kind of thing. Like this is
Mission
literally the
accomplished.
heaviest song.
Yeah.
Like literally the heaviest song on the album and one of the heaviest songs that I wrote. And it doesn't even have like fuzz guitar. It's mostly acoustic guitars, drums, bass, and some synthesizers. And it's so intense and so personal that I'm definitely not planning to play it live. Like maybe it will happen once one day on some special occasion, but yeah, this is definitely not a live show song. But I felt like I had to get it out of my system, and having people with me whom I trust and who can, like support me with that felt very natural thing to do. And again, this is something that is connected to the whole nature of this trilogy and Songs to Sound in general. Like, you're absolutely right that we are going through the tough times, and being the writer that I am, I cannot have this in me just to sit down and write stuff like, "Put your bad, what is bad, I am feeling not okay." This is like so stupid and so cringy. I will never do that. Like, I was never a fan of so-called like political bands and whatever, because so few of them actually can express their feelings and ideas like very artistically and in a very appealing way. This is usually just turns into some freaking demonstration with posters and like slogans and stuff like that. And I'm just sitting here waiting to listen to some music, you know, man. So it was never my intention to turn Stone Jesus into that. And like we already had, I already shared a lot of information on our social media, like obviously enlightening some people, but definitely scaring some people away as well, because people just don't want to see some negative things. They just will see that there's a lot of content about war, and they be like, "Yeah, people suffer everywhere. I'm just gonna unsubscribe from this guy because this guy's a negative guy," or whatever. So yeah, I'm like usually trying to find it in me to try to express my emotions rather than to write like a direct story or describe the situation. So like if we gonna step away from Quicksand for a moment, there's a lot of that on the album where like you cannot tell exactly what the song is about. Like Shadowland, what is it about? I mean, it's about the feeling. It's about being sucked into something. It's about being unable to control something. And yeah, like people that would, that would read the surface, they would say, "Oh, this is definitely about like Putin and whatever." What if I tell you that the song written like 10 years ago? Like it was written in 2015, basically. Like, I mean, yeah, it's so yeah. I really prefer it to be less direct and more about emotions. But Quicksand is definitely an exception to that in terms of it being like the most intense and the most personal thing that I ever wrote.
I think, unfortunately or fortunately, I'm not really sure if there's even a plus or minus here, but I think just being labeled a band from Ukraine, you're going to get sucked into some of that, right? You're gonna,
Absolutely,
it's going to be a thing no matter what happens. I remember following you when you were very active on social during the time of when that was happening, and it was actually a extremely deep and compelling follow that you had, because I remember just how could it not be, right? But I think when you people who don't know the band and they listen to this record, they're going to be like, war. This is a war record, and this is a war trilogy. And it's very interesting to learn.
Every album released in 22 was like a COVID album.
Yeah.
So like, it's basically
yeah. But yeah, like you listen to like a song like "Lost in the Rain," where I think on the surface it could mean one thing, and then I love the fact that I can interpret that and kind of make that my own too. Backdrop of where you're coming from. So that's, I think right now, that's probably my favorite track on the record.
Oh, sweet! Thank you, thank you. Yeah, this is the song that like you don't mind me talking about it a little?
No, please, no. That's where we have you. Absolutely.
Yeah, like in my head, it was like a sort of a breakup song, and like to be honest, I've never had like this sort of like intense, yearning, longing type of like very dreamy and very romantic kind of thing in many years, because I'm happy like with my personal life and it's very private, so yeah, whatever. But like I really wanted to evoke like again like the image of someone just standing in the rain, being like soaking wet, and watching like the person that they're used to, like have feelings to, just walking away. And this is very dramatic, like, and this the mellotrons hitting, and like this solo, like in the best David Gilmour / Andy Latimer / Stephen Rosary Meridian type of thing, like traditions, and the whole thing, and it's very like there's a grandeur about it, and obviously I was inspired by like early King Crimson and stuff like that with all the like acoustic guitars and mellotrons. And yeah, sometimes it works in some other way. Like being autistic, like sometimes I see songwriting as some sort of a game, a challenge. I'm like sitting down and I'm like, okay, I want to do this and that. Can I do this? And like, this is something that happened. Again, maybe I'm stealing one of your questions from you right now, but this is something that happened with Low. I just sat down and I thought to myself, can I write a really heavy track, but like still being somewhat into Stone Jesus, like sound and tradition and whatever, not just like a random collection of breakdowns and blast beats with someone just screaming on top. No, like the actual song with like structure and melody and like technically something that we can pull off live. And I did. I wrote it like probably 5 years ago or something like that. And I brought it to the previous guys. And again, I was met like with some sort of, I don't know, lack of interest, lack of motivation. And I'm like, okay, whatever. I guess this song gonna stay on the shelf for time being. And thankfully it didn't. Like I showed it to the new guys last summer and they were like so excited to bring it to life. Even before the song ended, they were like, yeah, we're totally doing this one. And this one's gonna be the same. And I'm like, oh, you sure? Really? Like it's too different, too heavy, maybe for Stones. And they were like, no. This is definitely gonna be single. We need to have some sort of a music video for it. And yeah, actually they were right. Like right now, the view count on YouTube is like higher than the first single, which is kind of weird to me because I thought the first single is like it's more like poppy and I guess like more catchy, and I thought that song would blow up, but I guess I was wrong. So it's always really interesting to see how it's perceived by other people, and again, it really excites my artistic nature, like to see that my games and my challenges were met in some unexpected way.
Yeah. It's just a killer song. It's like proggy black metal. It's wonderful. Turbo, as usual, I have dominated the first part of the interview, so I will now allow you to ask Igor some of your questions.
That's all right. I noticed sound-wise on the album, to me, this one seems a little bit more haunting, which you may have covered over what you're talking about in the songs. But did you produce this yourself, or did you have outside help producing this album? And will the same person be producing all three albums?
I'm listed as a producer on the record, but it's more about the way that I wanted it to sound and like like in the terms of arrangement and stuff like that. But like the sound itself is very much the combination of like all of those factors, especially with like the studio where we recorded the album, Monochrome Studio in Poland. It was like deep Polish, like wilderness in some hills. Like there were no people like kilometers around us, and we just lived there for like 10 days. And like every day, you just work on the music for like 10 hours, 12 hours, whatever. And it's like again a very special experience. And I think the fact that this studio is mostly used for jazz musicians is like very important because they know how to make like the very intricate moments in sound stand out, and they really know how to work with acoustic instruments again because like I think 3 of 6 songs have acoustic guitar on them, and the drums sound very much like actual instrument that is being played right like like in front of your nose. And then we contacted Karl Daniel Liden from Sweden, who's drumming in Swarm of the Sun, and who's doing sound for a lot of bands and a lot of actually, he did the sound for a lot of records that I myself very much enjoy, like stuff from Greenleaf, Catatonia, Bloodbath, Opeth. Like, yeah, the guy is a total pro. And I remember I wanted actually to get in touch with him since Pilgrims, I think, since our 4th album. And this is the 6th album, and finally we got together. And I just sent him everything that we done and like with a short commentary what I think about each track and how the track should be sounding like. And then he would send me the first draft, and the first draft was already near flawless. I was like, wow, like there were a lot of effects that I would never mention, but he would put them there anyway, and it sounded exactly like I wanted it to be. And it's really amazing to have this person who's like, connected to your mind through hundreds and hundreds of like miles between you. And I guess this stems both from his professionalism and also from the way that he perceives music himself. Because like there were really some left turns that I would have never thought I wanted to hear in our stuff, and he would do that, and I'm like, yeah, you know what, that actually works. Let's keep it there. It's like it's not a mistake or like something that we don't want. Yeah, it's something that we never mentioned, but yeah, you did it, and now we like it, and now let's leave it there. So, I mean, the idea right now is definitely to have him for the next two parts of the Songs trilogy, Songs to Moon and Songs to Earth, for like, you know, artistic consistency and for like more things that connect all three albums, I guess. But also because it's really, really nice person to work with. Like he's very chill, he's very fast, and he did everything like again, uh, kind of the way that we wanted, but also with some stuff that he did. And this initiative was freaking amazing. So yeah, huge props to Carl and huge props to Monochrome Studio.
Very cool. You mentioned, you know, there's going to be 2 more albums, and it's a trilogy. Shout out to Will from Season of Mist for hooking us up here. But I'm interested to see what a record label's response is when you say, "I have a trilogy that I'm doing, and we're going to do vinyl for all of it, and we're going to have the merch for all of it, and this is my vision. This is what I'm going to do." I assume since we have part 1 from Season of Mist, it was met with a lot of, you know, a lot of interest. But is there any negotiating with a label when you go to them and have such a big kind of grandiose project in mind?
I think the coolest part about Season of Mist that the way that we connected was already very characteristic about the thing that drives the label and the way that like the sort of people they are. I mean, I connected with Michel Berberan, the Season of Mist boss. Just like in a personal dialogue, we were both like fanboying over Anekdoten. It's like Swedish prog rock band from like 90s, but they still around. And we were both lamenting the fact that they haven't released an album in like forever. And we were just talking. And at some point, I was like, you know, man, we're without a label right now. Like we left Napalm, they let us wander freely. So maybe you would be interested to release our new record. And like less than a week after that, we had a signed contract for Fatherlight. And again, like when I brought up the idea of the trilogy, the only thing that he wrote me back is that they would prefer it to be like each album released with like a 11/12 month gap. Because the first idea that I had was that like Songs to Sun would be like December 25, Songs to Moon would be like June 26, and Songs to Earth would be like January 27. So like in terms of calendar, it's going to be different here, but in fact, there would be like 6 months between records. And I'm so happy he would let us do this because this is so time consuming. And like, yeah, I mean, playing 70 shows per year and doing new album every year and also like living your life basically and doing also all other things, that would have been impossible to have a new album like each 6 months. I mean, of course, people like Ken Gizzard can do that because the guys basically live on the studio. But like for us, yeah, it's not as easy. And that was basically the only thing he said. He's like, yeah, of course, let's do the trilogy. Just let's have like around 1 year gap between all the albums, like for better promo and to have more like space to breathe and stuff. And yeah, it's actually quite surprising right now that you ask him that. And yeah, I took it as something that was like so, you know, like obvious and like, of course he would agree.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I thought that he would like say no, or maybe like, yeah, like, you know, would be involved heavily into like rearranging the whole stuff. Like, yeah, you know, let's make 2 albums instead of 3 or something like that. No, I was pretty sure he would say yes. He did, and like only now you like you, throw in some seeds of doubt into my garden.
Well, you know, it's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of work. You know, I think for
Yeah.
everybody, and it's
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, it's and you know, Season Mist is killing it right now. They the new Basque record, and hopefully we're talking to them tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
We're going to be chatting with those guys tomorrow. Love that record. And then Green Carnation is also doing a trilogy, if I'm not mistaken. And love Green Carnation. Loved their record, Leaves of Yesteryear, which came out about 5 years ago, and then the new one that just dropped. And that's a trilogy too. So like Season of Mist, obviously not afraid to like, you know, be involved in these big projects. So that's just really, really cool. I'm not sure every label would be down for like, here's my 3-year plan for this, right? So it's like, but yeah, no, it's awesome.
Like with a label of their size, it's like really commendable that they're going forward with projects like this, and they have so many really eclectic bands. Because again, like this is the thing. I'm gonna have a little rant right now, but I noticed that there is a lot of like metal fans and rock fans who would rather have like a completely like I don't know, like completely insane alternative underground avant-garde metal band versus like the simpler, like very Five Finger Death Punch type of band. And like it's really hard for many of them to see the stuff in between. Like for them, it's either black or white. And like there are a lot of great, let's call it that. There are a lot of like gray area bands, right? Like things like people Black Phoenix, which is also on Season of Mist. Like, what is that? What is that? It's like psychedelic metal and post rock and prog rock and whatever. Like things like the Catafalque and other kind of stuff. And this is so great that like most of these bands found their home on Season of Mist, and they're doing a tremendous job promoting them. And again, like it's actually very much up my alley, and I myself not really listening to a lot of rock and metal recently, like for the couple of years already, like mostly like stuff like ambient pop and dream pop and ambient, and maybe some old school prog rock that I haven't discovered yet. I'm like releasing into it, like some post punk and whatever. But like when I see a rock or metal label coming out on Season of Mist, I'm always interested. And like again, here in Basque, a couple of weeks before our meeting, it was really great. It's like some sort of a, I don't know, cowboy prog, like desert mastodon kind of vibe, and I really enjoyed it. And actually, yeah, I wanted to mention on some interview, or maybe just even like do a post and like story from some Jesus account, because these guys are really great, and it's really important and really great feeling to be on the same label with like really artistic and interesting bands. So yeah, kudos to Season of Mist. The guys are really killing it.
Very cool. Yeah, and I think of Green Carnation in that too, where you know they came from like a black metal kind of thing a long time ago, and now you know Leaves of Yesteryear was nothing like that, and now you kind of get a little proggy, little deathy, little black metal. It's just really cool stuff. So yeah, Season Mist is having a great year.
Yeah, I haven't listened the new one, so no spoilers, please.
Yeah, no spoilers. I will not give out anything away. Turbo, what else you have for Igor?
Well, you mentioned that a lot of the songs on this one have been written 15 years ago or more. Does that mean the songs in the other two albums will be songs that you've written before, or stuff that you're going to write new, or just a combination of both?
It's always all over the place, and I found my inner peace that it will never be structured properly. Like, I mean, literally in On the Mountain, there is a riff that I written when I was like 16. And On the Mountain was largely written when I was 23 and released when I was 25, and I'm 38 now, and we still play it, and I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, I wrote this riff almost like 2/3 back in my life, and yeah, I still love it. And yeah, again, this is something that I found in, like, I'm a huge fan of like artist autobiographies and like rock press and like stuff like that. I used to like, now I do it less, but like I used to read a lot of like songs from the guys that I respect a lot, like Bill Bruford and like Phil Collins' autobiography and things like that. And they would always mention that, yeah, like this song was lying around for years. Then we finally came up with a bridge, and now it's a hit, and like finally it's released and something. So yeah, like on Songs to Moon, on Songs to Moon, I would say the newest song is 2023, which is not bad, knowing that the album's going to be released next year, and we're recording it already, and we started working on it last year, so it's pretty fresh. But by Stone Jesus standards, it's freaking new. It's recent. It's yesterday. So yeah, and again, like I have my own inner filter, so I write a lot, and sometimes stuff that you are writing, it's not that good. I mean, you need to have this. You need to weed out the rest, and you need to leave the best. And sometimes I'm coming back to some riffs that I recorded, like on my riff tape, which is more of a riff folders on my laptop. And I'm re-listening them, and I'm like, okay, this was actually pretty good. And it's like from 2017, and you're like, wow, okay, I guess it's time to turn it into a song finally. And sometimes you listen to something and just delete it the next moment because it didn't work. But yeah, mostly it's about you just need to wait for the right time. I mean, there's always some time for the song that the song will basically tell you that, please release me, please finish me. And this is actually something that happened with Quicksand again, like coming back to Songs to Sun. I've written this song around Seven Thunders Roar released. And I didn't have nerve in me to show it to anyone. Last year it was the time, and we recorded it. And this is like, as you guys see, this is one of the songs that has the most impact. Actually, the guys from Season of Mist told me that, do you want to release Quicksand as a single because it's a really strong one? And I'm like, wait, it's like showing like my underwear to the whole world. No, this is professional. It's the end of the album. For those who like willing to spend the first half an hour listening to more normal music, right? Like maybe they will be ready to listen to those like 10 minutes in the end of the album. So no singles for Quicksand, please. No.
It's amazing how many times we'll interview the band and I'll say that's my favorite song on the record, and they'll be like, that one was almost left off, or that one was like, we needed to fill some more vinyl, or
paranoid.
Yeah, exactly, the paranoid story. And I just, for some reason, I seem to pick those out without knowing a lot of the times too, like the ones that, oh, we just added it, so cool, you like that, but it almost didn't make it. I'm like, yeah. So you mentioned you play a lot of shows per year. I think you said 70 shows per year. What's going on with your tour for this record?
We're gonna tour for this record properly earlier next year. Basically, the two tours that we have that are left in 2025 for us to play is our first Australian tour, which has been in making for 5 years. First, it should have happened in 2020, but nobody toured in 2020, so this didn't happen. Then 2022, again, Russian invasion didn't happen. And now finally it's coming together, and in 2 weeks we will be in Australia, and I'm very excited, very much looking forward to it. And another tour is our Latin America tour. Again, this is something that we've been working on for a while. And we've played Latin America before. We played South America, Chile, Brazil, and Argentina in 2016 and 2017. So we haven't been there for 8 years. And now we're also in Mexico. This is the first time we're going to play there. So, and I already know that the crowd's going to be insane. The people there are just like one of the best audience that any band could ever play to. And I totally understand why, like guys like Queen or Iron Maiden would come there and play, even though like back in the day it was like financially lucrative because like, we would rather play the States or we would play Europe. But no, they did play South America, and I definitely understand why. And I would recommend any band that has the means to go there because it's insane. It's one of a once in a lifetime experience, basically. And we will play. I think we will play singles because people, after such a long period of not seeing us live, people would love to hear like earlier stuff as well, and we also love playing earlier stuff. Why not? Like we've been playing our greatest hits set list since last year on Stone Jesus 15th anniversary tour. So it's going to be basically almost the same setlist with 2 new tracks attached with singles, Shadow and then Love. But starting from 2026, it's going to be a completely new setlist. Again, the songs from Songs to Song and some stuff that we haven't played in years. Something that we haven't played with this lineup at all. And yeah, I'm very much looking forward to that. I'm a huge setlist nerd. Like I'm very active on setlist FM. Like when any band starts a new tour, I'm always there. I'm always looking for them. Like played for the first time since 1998 or whatever. For these types of songs, like Dream Theater, Porcupine, Steven Wilson, Swans, and I think somebody else all started their new tours last week. So last week was pure heaven for my autistic ass. I was checking out the new sets, and I'm like, wow, they're playing this song, these guys playing this song, wow. Yeah, this is, I don't know, this is very exciting for me for some reason. I really love it. Like some people love trains, some people love folding laundry, and my kink, I guess, is setlist. So yeah.
I'm with you. It's funny. My wife will be like, "Why you're gonna go see the band? Why do you want to know what they're gonna play?" I'm like, "You don't understand. You don't understand what's going on right now. I need to know what they're." And I also love bands who are able to mix it up because sometimes it's not possible because there's a lot of stuff that goes into playing it. Like a band like Clutch, I love them because you're gonna get the basics, but you never know where they're going to go with some of the other stuff.
Yeah.
It's
I remember being at Pearl Jam show, my first and only Pearl Jam show so far, and I was flying to see them in Stockholm. I was living in Kiev back then, and I had like a pool of my favorite Pearl Jam tracks, maybe like 20, 25 favorite Pearl Jam tracks. I still love them, but I don't need to listen to them anymore. I remember them well. So I was flying there, and I'm like, okay, if they're gonna play at least like 8 out of these tracks, maybe 12, I'll be in luck. And they played something like 15. Nice. And I was like, yeah, I was in heaven. It was an amazing show. Maybe you know this show because it was doing rounds on social media. It's the show where Eddie was drinking from the shoe. He was drinking the wine from the shoe.
Yeah. Yep.
The band threw the shoe on the stage. And it was like literally happening in front of our eyes. Everybody laughing and having a great time. And again, like I checked their next day's set list in like Oslo or whatever, and it was 70% different.
Yeah.
And this is wild to me. Like there are two very like different schools of doing this, right? There are people like Clutch or Pearl Jam, and there are guys like Iron Maiden. Like when you see the opening night set list,
you're getting it. That's what you're getting.
Yeah, that's what you get for like 50 shows or 60 shows.
Well, they have a big friggin' like Aces High thing flying down at you. You know, you can only do that. You can only do that in a kind of a coordinated fashion, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a huge control factor, and everything needs to be prepared. And like sometimes it's a cool thing to do because I saw them in Berlin recently, and I already knew on which track I'm gonna go pee. So it's like,
you can plan. Yeah, the last time I saw Pearl Jam was in Fort Lauderdale, and I know that they always mix it up. And I just had 3. I wanted to hear State of Love and Trust, Corduroy, and Release. I got 2 of the 3. Everything else made me happy, but I got 2 of the 3, so I could not complain.
Awesome.
I got to see them. So,
awesome.
Igor, this has been amazing. Turbo, do you have anything else? We've kept him longer than we promised. We had technical issues. Any other questions that you have for Igor while we have him?
Well, just to ask if talking about changing up the set list and everything, will we be able to get a live album from you anytime soon?
We need one of those.
This is such a great idea. And yeah, we've been thinking about it with previous Stone Jesus lineups, with literally the previous Stone Jesus lineup, because I'll be honest, like me, myself, growing as a musician technically, sometimes I look back on our earlier sets, like on YouTube and whatever, and I'm like, yeah, I'm glad we didn't release a live album back in, I don't know, 2012 or whatever. And like the previous lineup was pretty strong, but the current one is even stronger. And with the 20th anniversary approaching really fast, it's gonna happen like literally in 3.5 years. Maybe we might release something, we might record something, because I'm also a huge fan of compilation albums. But these days they basically, like, yeah, there is no reason to do a compilation these days. You can do a playlist on Spotify or whatever. So you can do it in the, within the realms of live album. You can basically compile the tracks as you want. You can play some rare track, and obviously in live versions, these songs are very different, especially like songs like from from the past. Stuff like Blackwoods is very different now. Even On the Mountain has some minor changes that were not presented on the studio version, and yeah, so it would be really cool to document that with like a really some with like video as well, because I'm a huge fan like of classic like concert shows, concert videos. Like I remember being 14 and like watching The Song Remains the Same, which is like 2001, and I'm living in this small mining town in like Ukrainian wilderness or whatever, far away from like bigger cities. And obviously, nobody else my age listens to this kind of stuff. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like in trance and I'm so enchanted by everything that is happening. Wow. And another
Right.
huge influence for me would be Unplugged.
Quicksand Unplugged would be a wonderful choice.
Yeah, actually, it would make sense. Absolutely, yeah. Because like in the situation of like regular live show, it would be a huge bummer, like for the audience, like emotionally. But like to close with Quicksand on live show would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And we did a couple of acoustic sets with previous lineup in Kiev, and yeah, we might do something like that. So yeah, it's a great idea, and it's on the back burner, but we do have it, and I hope that one day live album from Stone Jesus will see the light of day. Yeah.
I feel like the proggier you get, the more you'll start be able to pull like Dream Theater shit, like play all 3 albums in a row and then record
Yeah.
that live and release that as like a 6 record set, that something like Dream Theater would do. That would be very cool as well. So,
I'm still a huge fan of the band. We saw them this year on Hellfest. We were playing the same day, and we went and watched them for a couple of songs, because they were playing so late, and we had to go to the hotel and whatever. And yeah, they were very important and informative for me musically when I was like 15, 16, and it was around the time that they were releasing their best albums, in my opinion: Six Degrees, Train of Thought, Octavarium, stuff like that. And I think the main thing that attracted me in them was actually the songwriting. It's not about like the showmanship and the technical ability. This is something that a lot of modern day prog bands don't really get. Like they would get absolutely super bonkers technical with like all the fastest notes played in like the shortest amount of time with all the polyrhythms and shit. But I mean, if you give me the chorus on the level of Pull Me Under, I'm in.
yeah,
So
all day.
it's
Yeah.
songwriting, and this is something that I really love about the first era of Dream Theater, and this is something that I'm afraid they kind of lost a little recently. But yeah, I mean, yeah, people change and bands change, and I guess this is the path that they're on right now. Like they're more of a metal band these days than a prog band. So yeah, whatever works for them, I'm happy, and I'm really happy that Mike is back in the band.
Yeah.
Back in the band. But like a lot of ideas, this idea that I picked straight from the theater for this song's trilogy, and this is something exclusive. I never told this to anyone, so you guys are gonna be the first to know.
Love
Like maybe if you heard the albums, if you remember that Scenes from a Memory ends with like a static noise, and the next album begins with this noise.
Yeah.
Like 6 Degrees. 6 Degrees ends with like a piano note, and Train of Thought begins with like piano notes in reverse or something. And this is exactly what's gonna happen with the Songs trilogy. Like the second album will begin from the sound that ends Quicksand. Like at the end of the Quicksand, you can hear me sigh. I'm like literally doing, and this is gonna be the beginning of the second album.
That's
So
awesome.
we're gonna start with me sighing, and yeah, like shit like that, man. This is something that I live for. This is so great.
Yeah, and I love that. I love that you're doing that too, because as you mentioned, like there's a vibe to each record, and Quicksand transitioning to that more melancholy, introspective second record is like a perfect bridge there. And I love how you're combining them both. Oh, such a nerd, and I love it. It's wonderful how much of a music nerd you are, because it vibes with us and the stuff that we love. What hasn't changed, you say bands change, but what has not changed is how cool Stone Jesus is. New record called Song to Sun comes out
Thank you.
on September 19th. It's a trilogy, people. But
You're
the
also
first record-
doing something on Bandcamp on the 16th, right?
Oh, listening party.
It's going to be a listening party. You can hear it 3 days before, before the actual release. Yeah.
I mean, those people are not as cool as you and I, Turbo, who've got to hear the record in full. But those people can get to hear it too. But before I let you go, I'm just looking at the art. Tell us about the man flying over the dark forest on fire.
Yeah, I mean, this guy is literally the sun. I mean, like, the songs are to the sun. And I think that, first of all, there was the idea of like 3 different vibes, right? For 3 different albums. So obviously the sun is something heavy and aggressive, because the sun is just, it's there. The moon is dark and mysterious. So like, the darker album, the quieter album would be Songs to Moon. And Songs to Earth, I mean, like 2 hemispheres, things like that, 2 long tracks. There you go. So the question was about the art, and like with all the previous albums from Summer Jesus, it was like always a huge talking point, sometimes to the point of like having a fight with each other, because I would have mm, some like concepts about stuff, and people would not agree, or they would think it's too far, or maybe we wouldn't find the artist in time, because there's always like some deadline from the label and stuff. So like with most of the recent Stone Jesus albums, it was like you would find the right guy, the right artist, and you would run through his works, and maybe you would pick one, or maybe you would ask them to do the work in their way because you really like their style. And this is basically what happened with Songs to Sun. There's this guy, Vadim Karasov, and we were really inspired by his work, like very enchanting kind of like collage style of art. And actually, he contacted us first, like several years ago. He did a collage inspired by our song "Here Come the Robots," and he asked me if I'm okay with like the art named after our song, and I was like, "Of course, man." And I started following him on social media, and I would see those like pictures on a weekly basis. And I guess it was like some sort of like soft hypnosis, because when it was time to think about the art for the upcoming albums, I was like, hey, I know the guy. I see the guy constantly in my feed. So like all 3 of us, we would sit and look through his like catalog, and then we would ask him if he has something that he never showed to anyone. Then we would pick something, and we basically picked the 3 covers and some other arts that would be used for the merch. Like if you already clicked on the pre-order link, and I urge people to click on the pre-order link. There is like a reddish design for a t-shirt or hoodie or whatever. Like this red design is from Vadim as well. And yeah, so the cover we liked a lot, and to be more mysterious and intriguing, I would say Songs to Moon is actually the most captivating cover of all 3. But this one we're gonna see next. This is our favorite.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
And yes, go to the Bandcamp page, go to the Season of Mist page. We were Turbo and I were perusing around the Season of Mist page, talking about which of our shirts were our favorite. It was there were a lot of options. Let's just say that. But everyone should go pre-order this record. The splatter is gorgeous that you did on the vinyl. So really excited for people to see that again as a record nerd. But Igor, thank you so much for coming on the show. This was amazing. I apologize for the tech issues, but we got it done. And congratulations on the new record. September
Thank
19th. Can you please come back and talk to us when we're going to have the next record drop in a year? Because we would love to hear more about it and nerd out on Songs to Moon, if you don't mind doing so.
Oh, absolutely, guys, and thanks a lot for having me. My pleasure. It was a great conversation, and yeah, it was a great time. Thank you.
More to follow,
Thank you.
and congratulations on the record, and I think people are going to love it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Igor.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.